They turned their apartment into a secret nightclub during lockdown. I turned their behavior into a national news story. 10 hours of watching people struggle to breathe. That was my daily routine in September of 2020. I was working in healthcare with mentally disabled residents, and I had volunteered for the specialized COVID team. By the time I finished my shift and completed my 1-hour bike ride home in the freezing rain, I was a ghost of a human being. I was drained, terrified of the virus, and desperate for just 5 hours of silence. But the two girls who moved in next door had decided that a global pandemic was the perfect time to open a secret nightclub. Our building in Belgium is an old stone structure where every sound echoes like a gunshot. The very first night they moved in, the bass started thumping at midnight. I tried to be the chill neighbor because we were all young once, right? I told myself it was just a housewarming thing. But then came night 2, and night 3, and night 4. By the 5th night, I had not slept in over 72 hours. I was reaching a state of pure neurosis. These were not just small gatherings. You were in a full national lockdown where you were only allowed one fixed visitor, but their doorbell was ringing 70 times a night. It was a revolving door of people shouting in the hallways and breaking things. At 4 in the morning, I finally snapped. I went over and begged them to stop. I told them I had to be up at 6 for work to take care of sick people. They looked me in the eye, gave me these fake, wide-eyed apologies, and promised it would never happen again. They lied before I even finished walking back to my door. The music stayed up until 5. I found out they had basically turned their apartment into a makeshift bar because the real ones were closed. There was another frat house across the street, and people were just sprinting back and forth between the two buildings all night long. I called the police dozens of times just to get it on the record, but the cops told me their hands were tied. If the girls did not open the door, the police could not legally enter to shut them down. They knew it too. They would literally stand behind the door and laugh while the officers knocked. That was the moment I stopped being the nice neighbor and started being a social worker with a grudge. I found the email for the dean of their law faculty. I realized these girls were training to be lawyers while openly mocking the law. I sent the dean a very polite, very detailed note. I explained that his students were endangering the public and my vulnerable residents. I also mentioned that since secret lockdown parties were the biggest topic in the country, I was considering taking my evidence to the national press. I hit send, not knowing if he would even read it. The dean called my personal cell phone less than 10 minutes later.